Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fallout 76 build video. Today we're going to be checking out the Gatling Laser. Now this weapon doesn't hit that hard, but it is really fun to use if you are a heavy gunner type of character, if you enjoy using power armor as well. You know, it even does some good stuff in VATs, but that'll probably be for another build. In this build we're mainly focusing on not using VATs, and we're going to be focusing around fire damage and getting intelligence bonuses and stuff like that. Now there is actually tons of ways to get hold of this weapon if you want to craft it yourself. You know, any containers in the Savage Divide can get it, creatures in the Savage Divide as well, the Behemoth, Deathclaws, anything like that, or the Scorch Beast, that will help you get hold of this weapon. I think I probably got mine from the Scorch Beast Queen, to be honest. You can also get it from treasure maps in the Savage Divide. It has a low chance to be awarded in daily ops, so there's a lot of ways to get hold of this weapon right now. And the great thing is it does some really good stuff with crippling now. That's why I've been really enjoying using these energy weapons in the new season, is because we can actually cripple with them now. And they, I think they were a bit obsolete beforehand, but now they're actually doing a lot more damage and they're a lot more enjoyable to use, and you can play around with them however you like as well. But in this build video, we're just going to go over the rough damage numbers. This is not by far the best build with this. You can do some crazy stuff with this weapon, which we'll talk about as well while we go over all the perks and stuff and the mods. So for the mods for the weapon itself, we have Furious, again, one of my personal favorites. Now, however, I am going to say this, because we have 1,000 capacity, okay, you can choose to put quad on this if you don't like the reload. Wild West Hands, by the way, if you are a ghoul, which I am as well, does not work with this weapon, which is a real shame. You know, I've tried it out. Unless it's just bugged right now. There's a lot of bugs going on with weapons with this latest patch. I'm firing weapons sometimes and it just stops firing for no reason. And then I've got to start firing again. It's very bizarre what's happening right now. And sometimes I'm not even reloading properly, but Wild West Hands just doesn't work with this weapon. I've tried it out loads of times. Every time it proxies, every time it comes up, I literally have to reload manually every time, so it really does suck. But since we have 1,000 capacity, we do get 1,000 capacity from having one of our perk cards focused on fusion cores. You can put quad on this, but it will not give you 4,000 capacity, unfortunately. It only gives you 2,500, so there's an actual cap to that. On the second, we have, on our 2-star mod, we have Rapid. Rapid is just really good for higher DPS for this weapon. And then for the 3-star, we have Intelligence, just to get our intelligence numbers up even more, or apply more damage to the weapon itself. And as for a 4-star, if you wanted to put a 4-star mod on this, Pyromaniac, I think it's called, is an actual good one for more fire damage. Anything like crippling damage, fire damage, or weak point damage will do really well for this weapon. We went for the Severe Beta Wave Tuner as well. Stabilized long barrel and reflex sight for the dot there. So this thing actually just fires in a beam with this build. It's incredible how much it doesn't recoil, and, just, it feels very nice to use. It's not my favorite heavy gun to use, but it is still a pretty solid choice. If I just want to be playing around with energy weapons and fusion cores for a little while, then this is a really good weapon for that. And of course, you can get a lot of bonus XP from having this type of build, because it is a high intelligence build, so you'll get a lot of benefits from damage as well as XP there. Now moving on to the armor piece, it is my Lucid Spacewalk T65 armor that I have. T65 armor, if you don't know how to get it, it is from Gold Bullion inside of the Secret Service vault at the top of the map. If you don't know, you'd have to do a whole quest line to do that. But you need to get a Vault 79 basically, and that's where you buy the Vault, the T65 armor. So going back to the armor itself, the main thing I want to talk about just quickly is the helmet. I have it on the internal database just to have +2 intelligence, which is very nice. And for all the pieces, really, on the torso, I have Lucid, Intelligence, and Through Hikers, and I just have Medic Pump there to give me an automatic stim pack if I drop below 50% of HP. But on all the pieces, I have Lucid, Intelligence, and Through Hikers. If you were a human, you'd want to put Overeaters on instead of Lucid, but the key thing here is putting Intelligence on for 2-star there, because that will give us a lot more intelligence for more damage. And so that is my power armor that I'm using. Like I said, I've got Lucid on everything. The damage reduction is insane that I have right now. Like, I'm just barely taking any damage. It's quite funny, to be honest. just a tank mowing everything down, and just, yeah, it's a fun time. It really is. So let's discuss the perks, and then we'll give you some rough ideas of what to use if you do not have any perk cards here. So the legendary perk cards, real quick. we just want to discuss these. We have 3 in strength, 2 in perception, 2 endurance. I have agility maxed out, luck and intelligence there. So those are just the legendary perk cards that I am using currently. And let's go over the build here. So for the special points, I have 13 in strength, 10 in perception, 4 in endurance, 2 in charisma, 12 intelligence, 8 agility, and 7 luck. For the cards themselves, in strength, we've got Bring in the Big Guns, we've got Easy Target, Bullet Storm, Lock and Load, Tightly Wound, and Scattershot. These perk cards are just, you need them for any type of heavy weapon build, honestly. Tightly Wound, it depends on what heavy weapon you're using. You don't really need that, but because this kind of spins up, you do need to have Tightly Wound on it. Perception, we have Tormentor, Tank Killer, Center Masochist, Deal Sealer, and Number Cruncher. Center Masochist is really important in this one just because we're not using VAT, so we are going to be hitting the torso quite a lot. We are going to try and obviously aim for those weak spots, but having a plus 75% range damage, if we do attack the torso, it just helps out massively. Deal Sealer is a fucking huge, sorry for the language, is a fucking huge perk for this build because we're doing a lot of crippling and we're doing fire damage as well, so we're getting an extra 20% damage there. Because it's for each impairment that your target has, and if you're taking down a boss and people are freezing the boss as well, so for every crippled limb, every for example, every cryo applied to him, every fire, you're going to get plus 10% damage there, which is just, you know, incredible. So Deal Sealer is a must-have here. Endurance, the main thing is Ironclad. I like using Chem Diet. I'm getting addicted to using Chem Diet because it's just so nice not having to spend a lot of chems to get my feral meter up being a ghoul. But you don't have to use that perk. That's just if you're a ghoul or not. And, you know, I just prefer having it. I actually have my charisma messed up at the moment, so let me fix that real quick because I was doing stuff. So we want to have Stranger Number... we want to have Tenderizer. Yeah, so we want Tenderizer in there. This is because I was just messing around with some things, but when I get hold of Tenderizer, that will actually give it the enemy increased damage taken, which is good. So we have in intelligence itself, we have first aid, stabilized, science, batteries included, power user, pyrotechnician, and gunsmith. Now the key ones in this one are science, power user, and pyrotechnician. Those are the ones that we want to be looking out for. Science gives us more damage based on our intelligence, and pyrotechnician gives us more fire damage based on our intelligence, so that stacks nicely there. And power user is really important because it actually affects the weapon's power core, or fusion core, sorry. It actually affects that weapon, so that's how we have 1,000 capacity on the Gatling Laser itself. Now on agility, we have Gunslinger, Gunslinger Expert, Guerrilla, Guerrilla Expert, and Guerrilla Master. These ones is just extra damage and faster reload speeds, and it gives us some, you know, some pretty decent damage. In luck, we have One Gun Army, we have Ricochet, Class Freak, and Faulty Spots. And that is pretty much everything that you need in this build. I only have 2 ghoul perks on, so you can take out, if you're a human, you can take out Chem Diet and Faulty Spots. You'll have a couple of points to play around and put some other things somewhere else. But, you know, these are some really solid choices. And in luck, One Gun Army, you really need to have that. You know, plus 75% limb damage is just incredible. So, yeah, that is the entire build that I'm running right now. Now let's go over some of the mutations that I have, because these definitely help out as well. And just before we go over the mutations, I just want to go talk about the intelligence side of things real quick. So right now I'm at 35 intelligence, which is just kind of overkill. As you can see from the 35 intelligence, we are getting plus 37% fire damage, and we're getting plus 37% on energy damage too. So those two are going to go very nicely together. And we're doing a lot of cripple damage as well. As you can see, we're getting a lot of benefits if we do cripple an enemy. But look at Deal Sealer there versus crippled versus bleeding versus burning and freezing. Like, you just get plus 10% on all of that. So it's really good to have that in your build. I don't think it's really talked about too much, Deal Sealer, but I just think it's incredible. So yeah, 30 intelligence, sorry, is what you want to get at. That's probably the cap for me. If you're, you know, you can take it further if you want to. You start getting diminishing returns and like smaller percentages if you go higher than 30 intelligence. 30 intelligence gives you a flat 35% buff. As you can see, I've gone 5 intelligence over, and I've only got an extra 2% there, so you can see how it's not really that beneficial to go over 30, but I will say if you join a public team, do a casual team, you know, gain the intelligence buffs from there and get your intelligence up to like 40 or something like that with playing with other people, then go for it. You know, it's just extra damage at the end of the day. But 30 is the one that we want to aim for there. You can get that from your armor pieces easily, and you can get it from the weapon itself, putting a 3-star intelligence mod on there. So yeah, that is pretty much everything that I want to talk about on the special effects side of things. Now, okay, so now going over our mutations for the build, the main one that you want to concern yourself with here is Egghead. That gives you +6 intelligence. I've got Speed Demon, Marsupial, Eagle Eyes, Bird Bones, and Adrenal Reaction. You know, all those aren't really that important. That's just preference on how I want to play. I want to be able to jump high and move around faster and stuff like that. So that's why I like having those ones on. But Egghead is the main one here. Eagle Eyes, we're not going to see any benefits from it really because we're not doing VATs. Although you can do VATs now and then if you want, but this will just burn through your AP really fast. But you can do it now and then if you wanted to do that. But Egghead is what the main thing is that you want to go for there. Okay, so here is the build. If you do not have any legendary cards leveled up just yet, you can kind of work towards that final build. But starting off with this one is very important that you do this. So Strength 13, 10 in Perception, 3 Endurance, 2 Charisma, 15 Intelligence, 8 Agility, and 5 in Luck there. So the ones I stuck with here are bringing the big guns, Easy Target, Bullet Storm, Lock and Load, and Scatter Shot. We actually got rid of Tightly Wound there. So yeah, it's just sacrificing a little bit of faster speed up of the weapon. Perception, we have Tank Killer, Center Massacres, Deal Sealer, and Number Cruncher. I would say Deal Sealer is the most important one to keep here. Another one that you could potentially try and fit in here is Tormentor. If you can get an extra couple of points in Perception from somewhere else, then that's totally fine. But yeah, I think this just works out better, honestly. We have Ironclad, we have Tenderizer, then Intelligence, we kept it at 15 pretty much. We have Science, Batteries Included, Power User, Pyrotechnician, Gunsmith, Stabilize, and First Aid. I like using Gunsmith, especially for heavy guns that fire a lot of bullets because they can tend to break really fast. Agility, we have Gorilla, Gorilla Master, and Gunslinger. That's just the ones I thought was probably best to stick with, honestly. And then we have One Gun Army and Faulty Spots there just to get some extra weak point damage. So that is the build without any legendary perk cards. So I'm going to leave the video there, guys. Thank you so much for checking that out. Hopefully it helps you build a better Gatling Laser. If you have any questions or comments about the build, feel free to leave them down below. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. I've been Pixels, my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.